morning or this afternoon regarding our fight with the gender wars, right? Well, this is HQ, and I've never really been one of those people that want to fight over trivial things, right? And I think gender wars is dumb. Besides the fact that I've never really been a follower of people, I've never really been one of those people where you say something and I just blindly follow you. Women are good, men are bad, blah, blah, blah. Never been one of those people. Okay? Most people here on the internet, they're always talking about it's the man's fault, it's the woman's fault, blah, 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 blah. I come from the perspective of it being both your fault. Simply because you have to put it that way, because it's never, when it becomes human beings, when it comes to human beings, it's never one person's fault. It's always two people's fault. Because both of you are responsible for that relationship. Both of you are responsible. Why I'm not a follower? Never been a follower. Always been a contrarian. Always. If there's another side to take, I always take that side. Not because I simply or critically believe it. It's because there's always another side, depending on what it is. Being a follower isn't bad. I mean, it just depends on what and who you're following, right? If you're following a good leader, learning from somebody else, being a part of a team and all that good stuff, that can be valuable too. But if you're blindly following without thinking for yourself, geez. Because a lot of men get on here and say, oh, it's the woman's fault. And then a lot of women get on here and say, oh, it's the men's fault. It's both of your faults. Okay? Why you don't blindly follow somebody when they say, oh, it's the man's fault, it's the woman's fault, is because maybe you just can't make a decision on your own. Maybe you can't think critically. Maybe you can't figure things out. Maybe you're easily manipulated. You believe everything you hear and see. I don't believe everything I hear and see. When you tell me something, I try to evaluate it. If I can't evaluate it then I go and I find some way to evaluate it later on. See, being easily manipulated, people can take advantage of you. And then people say things. Just because people say things 1, 2, 3, 10 times doesn't mean it's true. If you don't think critically, people can take advantage of you. And believing the same thing every time you hear it, there's no personal growth. If you always follow what people say, you don't ever get to develop your own personality and your own thought processes. Hi, Lonnie. You don't develop your own thought processes and strengths and ideas and biases. That's why it's always good to think critically when someone says a statement. Following a crowd, I've never followed a crowd. I just never have. I hate that mentality. Following a crowd can lead to bad choices and consequences. There's nothing wrong with being a follower. Leadership and fellowship can have their place. The key is to know when to follow, when to lead, and most importantly, when to think for yourself, right? Now, when we get to this gender war thing, right? Why don't people figure out how to fight the gender war constructively? I don't understand. It's just automatically, it's the woman's fault. Some of you all get on here, it's automatically the woman's fault. I don't automatically say it's the woman's fault. I don't automatically say it's the man's fault. I always land in the middle. I always do. Because I know it takes two human beings. Most people on here approach the gender wars with emotion rather than strategy. Instead of aiming for solutions and ideas, people always want to win arguments, prove the other side wrong. vent their frustrations, don't want to converse. And I get it. It's tribalism. It's always an us against them. Instead of recognizing that we both have issues and we both have problems, we both have struggles. People get stuck in this side and that side. People's personal experiences shape the strong opinions. I get that. Making it harder for another person to be objective when it comes to seeing the other side. All these anecdotal experiences, people take them to heart when it may just be one instance or 5 or 10, but the majority of us may stay in the middle. That's why I like to stay in the middle and not say it's the man's fault or the woman's fault, because normally it is. Many of these gender war discussions get reduced to extreme, to this side or that side. Okay? And then there's no middle ground. I see when people say it's the female's fault, I see where it could be her fault. I get that. She's too independent. She doesn't want a husband. She said they can say whatever they want to, but they're happy with just having children and dealing with men as they come along. True enough, they may want a husband, but that's not how the world works. Same thing with men. Men get on here and they complain too. The women, she doesn't know how to keep her legs closed, blah, blah. Like, I'm supposed to be responsible. Like, me as a woman is supposed to be responsible for you having sex or having a desire to have sex. How is that my fault because I'm a woman and I have the vessel that you want to have sex with? How is it my fault you can't control yourself? I'm supposed to be in charge of your sexuality and mine. How does that make sense to human beings? And on being on here, the algorithm rewards the loudest, most controversial, most divisive. And a regular person like me, we can't, or a normal, everyday, even keeled person like me, you can't get a shot on here because it's always on this end or that end. It's men's fault, women's fault, da-da-da. And the rest of us in the middle is like, y'all don't even get it. It can't be her fault only. It can't be his fault only. It has to be both of our faults. And the major thing is, most people don't have no solutions. It's always her fault. People complain all the time, but don't propose actionable ways to fix this, to fix the gender wars. I mean, and I say we should all have empathy, critical thinking, focus on how we both can benefit, man and woman. But most people aren't trained to do that. They just react. They're emotional. We can't get nowhere. If you continue to say it's the female's fault, and I continue to say it's both of your fault, where are we going to go if you can't see my side? And the reason why our relationships are failing, reason why we're failing on both ends, okay, mind you, not just one, our failure is attributable to both of us. Individual cases, however you want to look at it, there's many reasons why it's the man and the woman's fault, because why Western society relationships have failed. Social media, the weird dating dynamic, they create unrealistic standards for relationships, right? People expect perfection, instant chemistry, no effort to find happiness, no effort to keep it, no effort to work for it. It's just supposed to be there instantly, boom, which is very rare. I talk about my husband and I talk about my marriage, but that marriage wasn't perfect. In no way, shape, or form was that marriage perfect. There were plenty of times where I had to walk away. I had to be the one to save that marriage. There were times when he had to walk away and be the one to save that marriage. This wasn't easy. I think people on the internet think it's supposed to be, she's supposed to be friendly all the time. He's supposed to be stable all the time. He's supposed to do this, and this. And she's supposed to do this, and this. That's not how the world works. People expect perfection and no work. That's not how this works. Women expect men to be emotionally intelligent, financially the big dog, and romantic and caring and loving all the time. And that's not how men are. And men expect women to be nurturing, low maintenance, and agreeable all the time. And that's not how we are. Me and my husband worked for the men. We came back and chose each other every day. You have to choose a person every day, right? Hey, Tierney. Everybody wants to have the perfect relationship. It's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be a headache sometime. Sometimes you're going to walk in the door and not love that person. You don't have the energy to want it. And you hope when you walk in that door that your spouse, you walk in the door with 20% gas to save your marriage. You hope and you pray that your spouse got that 80% to make that marriage keep going. Some days you walk in that door and you only got 50%. And you look at your spouse and hope and pray they got the other 50% to keep this marriage going. It's when they don't have that energy to save it that you start having problems. Love is a choice, people. And when I hear people on here saying, your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, where are we going if you continue to blame me only and not look at yourself and say, maybe I need to do more. Maybe I need to have that 50%. A lot of people lack emotional maturity. Both of you struggle with emotional intelligence, communication, conflict resolution. A lot of people do. That shit ain't just come out the woodwork and we grown. It takes work. It takes inner reflection. It takes accountability for yourself. What have I done wrong? What can I do right? What can I do to make me a better human being? Stop smoking weed. Stop drinking every night. Stop hanging out with my friends as though I don't have any other person to be accountable to. Stop losing a job. Stop breaking up relationships because I feel like my dick might get hard somewhere else down the line and I don't want to be stuck with this one woman. Men are raised to suppress their feelings, emotions, making it almost impossible to express yourself, express the vulnerability that we know is inside you. Women are expected to understand what you feel, what you think, what you want. My ESP button is out of order. I don't understand what you want or need unless you communicate with me. They're always on here talking about women are like, grrr. Maybe if you were like grrr sometime as a man, we would get along better. We would understand each other better. I don't know what you think unless you talk to me. We have such idea and such stuck in boxed in ways of thinking about relationships, gender roles, all of that goofy stuff. The whole point is we are in a new day, in a new era of relationships. The traditional roles don't apply to everyone now. Traditionally, the woman had no say. The woman had no place in society. She couldn't open a bank account. She couldn't buy a house. She couldn't do any of these things. Now, those things are no longer true. So since there's a shift away from traditional roles and traditional values and things like that, people don't know where to go. Men don't know where to go. Women don't know where to go. Men feel like they not needed or wanted. I don't want to hear about you telling me the woman said she don't need a man. I've already explained to you all what that meant. She meant that she didn't need him financially to do everything for her. But that didn't mean she didn't want a man in her life, needed a man in her life. You all please hit the like button. There's 9 of y'all, 5 likes. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. These are the freaking gems I'm dropping today because I'm pissed again. The gender wars, people's thoughts about traditional roles, women are not burdened, or they feel unburdened because now they have a career. Now they can help be responsible. A lot of women resented being just wives. They couldn't do anything. Now that they can, there's a freedom there. And a lot of you men resent that. But you got to meet those women where they are. It just is what it is. Now, financially, I don't need you, but I want you in my life. Financially, not personally, not morally, not sexually, not any of those things did I say I did not want or need a man. She meant financially that way. Another problem with us is that we so independent, and everybody is scared to be everybody is scared to be in a relationship, be committed. People prioritize their career, personal growth, independence. They delay getting into commitments. I got married when I was 23 years old. 23. But see, I had always known that I wanted to be a wife. Hi, Young, Tara, H Highway 20 Skinny. I had always known that I wanted to be a wife. Always. From the moment I stepped on into being an adult, a teenager. I always known that. I told my mother that. She was like, girl, you better go to college, blah, blah, blah. The minute I got pregnant at college, I came home. My mom was like, get your ass back to college because you're going to have to take care of this baby. I was ready. I was ready to be a wife and a mother because I had read all my life as a teenager, as a kid. I had read books about how to be a wife and blah, blah, blah. I had done all of that. Okay. But a lot of people these days, they prioritize career and personal growth, independence, delaying, and then they delay serious commitment. And then we get stuck in our ways. The men are scared that you want them for their money. So they stay away from commitment in women. They can't control their libido. Controlling your libido means you can't keep your dick in your hand, in your pants, and you always want to put it in another woman's hand. If you know how to control that, you know how to get yourself a woman and a wife and do what you need to do if you want to stay married. That's the best way I can put it. And I always maintain that if you are a single woman and you got pregnant by this first guy, you would marry your first baby daddy. If you were in a relationship with him and you got pregnant, you would marry him. Okay. And women don't want to, not every person wants to get married. And that's exactly true. Not every person wants to get married, but only the people who should get married should get married. And we shouldn't burden people on saying you got to get married. That's not everybody's purpose. Just like it's not every man's purpose to be married, it's not every woman's purpose to be married. Women are hesitant to depend on men due to past experiences and society influences and the money and blah, blah, blah. I get it. I get it. But we can't sit here and say that this dating war, this gender war is working. It's not working. So that's why you haven't seen me on too many panels, and I very rarely get on panels these days. I get on the SBC Nation panel because I like the back and forth, and I like the this, that, and the third. But when we truly get down to the brass tactics of men and women, I'm always going to say it's men and women's fault, because it is. People and social media. Let me see. What women? Why are relationships still okay? That's the social media piece, right? Both genders in this social media piece, they went to the different sides. People don't want to work for relationships. It's 1,001 choices. People don't have as many choices as they think. Okay. See, it's very. I hate that C and P conversation, D and P conversation. I cannot do it, because people don't come from their position. It's always it's her fault. It's her fault. And it's lucrative. It makes money. Okay. These online platforms have created a delusional world where all these people think they got options, and your options are only limited to your square 10-mile, 5-mile radius. If you really want to have a genuine relationship with somebody, stick within your area and do the right thing. But I get it. People are disposable on here. I can get you, let me get you, let me get you, let me pick you, let me pick you. Men may feel like they disposable on here, like they can be interchanged. And women get all this attention. Oh, she's pretty, she's beautiful, she's this, she's that. And you get 1,000,001 men saying you're beautiful, you're this, that, and the third. I don't know about anybody else, but I want you to see the real me. So I only deal with people in real time, in real I meet at the store. I meet at this, that, and the third. All this on here, you're beautiful, you're this, that, and the third. I don't take any of that seriously, because I don't have all those kind of options. As much as people say, oh, HQ, you're beautiful for 60. You're beautiful for someone who's 60. Whatever. That means nothing if it's not translated into the real world. People have no emotional maturity, and they don't have any conflict resolution skills. Most people have never been taught how to handle a disagreement. Men shut down emotionally. Excuse me. Women react emotionally. People expect women to know what and what not to do. That's not how that works. Nobody seems to have any kind of conflict resolution. Nobody wants to come up with a solution. Everybody just wants to point fingers. And we all have different priorities. People have different long-term goals, short-term goals, plans of actions, how they do this. Well, if she does this, then I'm walking out the door. If he does this, then I'm walking out the door. Men prioritize work. Women prioritize work. We other things, money. We just all messed up in this gender war thing. And religion is another thing. Religion. People are stuck in that dogma of religion. Well, you should feel this way because of the Bible. Not all of us believe in the Bible. I believe in being a good person. When a person asks me to say, I try to do the right thing. I try to be the best person that I can. And I don't depend on religion or the Bible or what. I don't do that. I've never done that. And I came to this realization as an adult. I said to myself, hey, Rennie, did you rely on the Bible to do all of these things, to be this type of person, to make the right choices, to make the decent choices for other human beings? Did you rely on the Bible to do that? And then I had to say to myself, no, I didn't. I just was a good person. I just wanted to be a good person. I wanted to represent a good person. I wanted to be a good person for another human being. I wanted to be of value to another human being. So therefore, I always thought, what is the good thing for that person and me? And I did that, which is how a marriage and a relationship lasts. You think of what other person would want and do the right thing. We all have valid grievances. We all do. But you cannot approach a problem and think that it's just the woman's fault and think it's just the man's fault and be able to solve something. Every time I go to a certain show or a certain panel, it's always the women, the women, the women. The problem with the women. Sure, women have problems, but you have problems as a man too. Same thing as a woman. We still have a high rate of children being born in our community. That's not just a female's problem. That's a man's problem. That's a male problem. That's both of your problems because both of you have not prioritized controlling your libidos, controlling the reproductive rights or reproduction. Neither one of y'all have any kind of control on that. That's both of your faults. But the whole point is, both of you have a responsibility of making marriages and relationships work. And if neither one of you want to approach it as being both of your faults, I don't understand how it's going to work. But I know that Rennie is not going to jump on the man's side, and Rennie is not going to just jump on the female side. And people say, hey, HQ, why you always jumping on the female side? Why you always blaming the man? I don't always blame the man. The side that I'm talking to always blames the woman. So if the side that I'm talking to always blames the woman, I naturally, as a contrarian person, is going to pick the other side. Because the other side has to be represented. And if you're arguing with me that it's all women's fault, I'm going to take the side that it's men's fault too, because both sides have to be represented. It can't just be her side. It can't just be that she's wrong. It cannot be. It's too deeply ingrained, this problem, this issue. So how can we fix this gender war thing? Y'all hit the like button. All of y'all in here, we got 9 likes, 13 people. 4 of y'all ain't hit the like button. So how can we fix this gender war? How can we do what we got to do? And, with respect, understanding, okay, we got to have better communication. Instead of this hostility, we need spaces where we can go and discuss issues honestly. And when we go to do that, now men get shamed for agreeing with the woman. And then the women get shamed for agreeing with the man sometimes. It's called the mammy and the pick me and blah, blah, blah. We all got to acknowledge is that there are grievances on both sides, and then promote constructive dialogue between both of us. I am never, ever, you will never see me get on a panel and say it's all the man's side. You will never, ever see me get on the panel and say it's all the female side. Because I truly do not believe that to my soul. I believe it's both our faults. We got to redefine what strength, leadership, emotional intelligence is. Men should be encouraged to share their emotions, talk about what bothers them in a constructive way, not in a it's your fault way. Women should be right there to support, to follow where they need to follow, but they also should be encouraged to express themselves. Because the more ideas that come on the table, the better understanding, the better way forward that we have as a man and a woman dynamic. People should be allowed to be emotional, to express themselves when it comes to relationships. I want to tell you what I think will help us go forward. Okay? And a lot of people don't want to encourage thought. They just want to be right there. But there's a lot of things that need to be fixed too. You know, structural issues, laws, court system, all of that stuff. We understand all that needs to be fixed. We get it. We get it. I don't even need to say how that is. That's why I'm out. Good for your skin. That's why I'm out of the gender war fight, because people get entrenched in their thought process and they don't want to move forward. And because people get paid to be on the gender side, the gender war side, how you gonna get people from doing it? I want to move us forward. I want to move the men and women forward. I get it. I get it. She need to keep her legs closed. She need to do this. He need to stop walking away from his family. I get all that. But what good is it going to do if we don't come up with solutions to what we need to? Why are they leaving their families? Why is she the way she is? And then, why is she that way? How can we help him? How can we help her? How can we help this relationship? Very rarely do you find places where people want to promote and uplift healthy relationships. They just want to encourage the animosity between men and women. I don't want to encourage any of that. How can I be better for you? How can he be better for me? I ain't trying to hurt you. I ain't trying to get your money. I'm not trying. That's not what I'm trying to do. When a woman says, I want a man to make X, Y, and Z, I just want you to come to the table like me, and then we can work. We on an even keel, and then we can work together. Cause I know what I can do with the money that I make. You can do what you do with the money you make, and let's work together. I don't want to fight you. Most people don't want to fight each other, but they encourage that online because it makes more money. And people like me that are in the middle, people just trying to figure out why you ain't picked a side, why you ain't got the women in order. What do you mean get the women in order? The men got to get themselves in order too. We all got to do it. We all got to be good, human, healthy people and recognize that we all are not emotionally intelligent all the time. And I realized that. And I realized that when I was on a panel last night, I realized that we are so far removed from thinking that that the other sex is so bad, right? We got to focus on families and relationships more. We got to promote dating, healthy marriages, healthy relationships, and we got to We got to cut out that us versus them stuff. Y'all hit the like button. It's 11 likes, 16 people. Please. 5 of y'all have not hit the like button. Please. Please. We got to teach people communication, conflict resolution, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence just means that you have empathy and sympathy for the other side. You understand the other side. You get the other person's point of view. That's what emotional intelligence means. No, I was kind of pissed off last night because it's a circular argument. It's all her fault. It's all her fault. The discussion last night was Dr. Umar's his ex-girlfriend, his ex-wife, the girl's mother. After the age of 18, the mother's responsibility it ended. It ended before the age of 18. I'm sorry, it ended before the age of 18. Then it was the girl's responsibility and Dr. Umar's responsibility to make that relationship work. Because she, as a young adult, should have known, okay, it's got to be two people's fault. It's got to be. It's got to be both of your faults. Unless he put his hands on the mother, unless he just left and didn't say nothing, unless, you know what I'm saying? Usually it's two sides to a story. And if you want the real story, you got to get both sides. And you cannot take the mother. And the mother, you cannot go back to the mother and say, it's your fault. No, Dr. Umar, you were supposed to go and get that child at 18 because that's your child. It ain't, who expects a child to go get their daddy and say, Daddy, why you didn't want me? That's not how that works. You as the father, you as the mother are supposed to go get that child and say, your mama was trash. Your mama, bashed me. Your mama kept me away from you. I'm here on your 18th birthday or whatever to tell you that's not true. And forget whatever that mama got to say. Develop your own relationship. That's what I was saying. And it was more of, well, the mom got to be held accountable. No, we don't worry about the mom. This is me and you, Daddy, going forward. Don't worry about what she said. I'm going to take what you say, Dad, and I'm going to discern and figure out between both of y'all. And then we going to go forward. Stop worrying about mom. And that's what I mean by blaming somebody else for you kept me away from my baby. No, she didn't keep him away from the baby. Dr. Umar kept saying she kept me away from my baby. No, she didn't, because if you're paying child support, you should have been able to see that child. And if not, you should have waited till that child was 18 and then had developed a relationship with that child. So there's no excuses on Dr. Umar's part. I'm taking him at his word that he paid child support, that he wanted that child. I'm taking him at his word. But it's frustrating when people don't see that it has nothing to do with the mother. This is between him and that girl. And both of them could be right and both of them could be wrong at the same time. That's my thought process. So it was frustrating. It was frustrating. You got to be able to see both sides. Okay? You've got to be. In order to solve this gender problem, we got to look at the other side. That's what emotional intelligence is. Being able to look at the other side and saying, okay, I can see your point of view. I don't agree, but I can see it, right? And we gotta stop this victimhood mentality too. And blame culture, blaming folks. Neither gender should be blamed for all the problems, all society and relationship issues. Not one gender should be blamed. It should be put on both genders. Taking accountability for yourself. Not trying to hold somebody else accountable. You take accountability for your thought processes, your actions, those things. But the dick and the D and P conversation, that's why HQ stopped going on panels, because it's always a circular argument. No, it's her fault. Men are getting better. Men are doing what they have to do. Women ain't getting no better. And women, you go on the women's panels. The men ain't nothing but trash. They do this. They do. No, I don't want to hear you trashing my black men. And I don't want to hear you trashing my black women. I want to push forward. I want to encourage relationships. Stop being afraid. Stop being grounded in it's this bad. And it really bothers me when married people say, oh, it ain't nothing but women's fault. It ain't no, not knowing that you're a human being too. And you have flaws too. Right? This gender war cannot be fixed by you saying it's just the women's fault, or her saying it's just the man's fault. You got to stop thinking of each other as enemies and start thinking of each other as allies and having alliances rather than being the enemy. You got to focus on what we have in common. Do we both want families? Do we both want to be in marriages or relationships? But for the people who don't want to get married, do we want to be in relationships that are healthy? Then what do we need to do for our people to be healthy? What do we need to do? We need to have more. Need to have more emotional outlets. We need to have more counseling in our society. We need to have more education for our people. Okay, we need to have all of these things. We need to start healing these rifts and these divisions between us. What can we do to support our men? Encourage them to go back to school. Encourage them to get a skill. Encourage them to want a family, to stay with the family, to cherish women, to cherish our sons. What can we do to help the women? Encourage them to be less independent and more have more group or family orientated thoughts and actions. Have them become educated, more counseling, more women to show them, more examples to show them what it's like to be a mother, to be a wife, not a prostitute, not to sell your body, not to have sex early. What does it look like when you hold off from doing those kind of things or whatever? But I'm sick of the D and P conversations that are circular. We have to move our people forward. And I want to move our people forward. I don't want to fight every step of the way. Every time you get on a panel, it's like 3, 4, 5 steps backwards. Right? And people say, well, HQ, why you not teaching? I am doing what I can to encourage people to be good people, to be a good human being. Okay? To be a good human, that's the first thing you got to understand about yourself. Are you a decent, good human being? Do you have good intentions with another human being? When another human being comes into your life and you're responsible for helping that person find happiness, because you're not responsible for making them happy. You're responsible for them finding the happiness. You're helping them find their happiness. When you are tasked with helping another person find happiness through this world, you have to do no harm. You have to in your mind, you have to say, I'm going to do and say everything that is encouraging, that is promoting good health in relationships, regardless of whether I married this person or not. I'd rather two people be co-parent than to be at each other's throat in a marriage and have children underneath that, feeling the brunt of that friction. I'm promoting healthy relationships. I'm promoting, whether they're married or they're single, I'm promoting healthy relationships. Okay? And we can't seem to get past this blame thing. Well, she got to be held accountable. Of course, I'm one of those people, I don't believe you can hold another person accountable. You just can't. You just can't. I believe you can only hold yourself accountable. You can ask them, you can encourage them, you can tell them, but accountability is something a person must accept and do themselves. That was what we got hung up on last night on panel. Would a woman got to be accountable when she keeps the child away from the father? You can encourage, remind that person about taking responsibility, but accountability is something a person got to accept for themselves. You can set your boundaries. You can follow through on the consequences. You can do all of that and create an environment where accountability is expected or encouraged or wanted or needed, but they got to do it themselves. That's what I meant by you can't hold another person accountable. They have to hold themselves accountable. And in that situation, she already did what she was going to do. Now it's up to you to hold yourself accountable, to do what you need to do. So I'm all about families and relationships, and that and when people say, well, HQ, you gotta hold the women to task. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. If I got on here and I said, you need to keep your legs closed, you need to do this, that, and the third, no woman would want to hear that. No one wants to hear that. We want solutions, solutions, solutions. And I'm all about solutions. Whatever direction or solution that sounds reasonable, that's the direction I'm going in. I don't care whether you're the one who did you're the last person that did the action that broke up this. I'm talking about solutions. And this gender war is stupid to me because we both have issues, man and woman. I don't want to point out your flaw. I want to stand right before you and you stand right before me. And then we say, what do we want together? Do we want a family together? Do we want a relationship together? Stop telling me about what I used to do. Stop holding me over here for this. Help me move forward in this relationship battle. Because to me it's easy. And I keep saying that. People keep saying, HQ, you had successful relationship. You were married for 30 years plus years. You already had it. You don't understand how these women are these days. You don't understand how these men are these days. Human beings are the same 30 years ago as they are now. Nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to get played. Nobody wants to be made a fool of. Nobody wants to be humiliated. Nobody. And those are the four things that people are most afraid of. And when you take that humiliation, being used, made a fool of, when you take that off the table, what do you have? You just got two human beings standing in front of each other, wanting me to be my husband and wanting her to be your wife. So I'm saying, stop fighting. Let's solutions. There are benefits. There are benefits. There's beauty. But see, I'm saying you have to know what type person that you are. I knew early that I was a person who wanted to be in a relationship, who wanted to be in that dynamic. You have to know what type person you are. Do you think you would be happy with another human being by your side, having the battles, the triumphs, the tragedies together? Or are you one of those people that want to be single, who can handle things on their own? You want to cruise through life alone. Figure out what type person you are and move accordingly. Move accordingly. I'm encouraging beautiful relationships, whether they're marriage or they're single. Okay? Whether it's married or single. The benefits, he says, why not show the benefit? There are benefits. You got to be able to see. That's where we come from. That's where emotional intelligence comes from. Are you able to see the benefits? Sit down and think about it. What would be the benefit for a man? Don't come to me and say, it ain't no benefit for men. Yes, it is a benefit for a man to have a woman by his side. What is it? Sit down and write it down. Sit down just from a woman's point of view. Sit down and write it down. Then think from a simp's point of view. A simp. If you ain't a simp, you think about what benefit do the simp think he got from that particular relationship. Sit down and think, what would be the benefit for a woman? And once you see that, and if you can see those, then you see the benefit. Nobody needs to tell you. Okay? There's benefits to, depending on what you find a priority, what you find most attractive, what you find important, that's where you find your benefit. As a person, I woke up. I came out of the womb. I tell you, I came out of the womb and I said, I want to have a man by my side. I want to have a man by my side. I want to move through this earth. I don't give a damn if it's a man's world. I just want to be a woman in it. I just want to be beautiful in it. I just want to be loved in it. That's what I said to myself when I was a teenager. I just want to be a woman in it. Wanted and loved and desired in it. Right? And so I tried to tailor my life towards along the track of a man. In college, along the track of a man. Find a man, get married, do the things you're supposed to do. I try to follow my track that way. My life's track that way. Because I knew early that's what I wanted to do. What I wanted to be. Okay? I'm not saying I'm the best mother. I'm not saying I'm the worst mother. I'm saying I learned as I went. But I learned to do no harm to the other human being. Let the person grow. Be themselves. Encourage all the things you can. And the only thing I require is that you be faithful to me. And not put your hands on me. Just the little things. It's all you could do. You could fly around the world. I gave a damn as long as you thought of me before you did it. That's all I wanted. Open communication. Letting that man know I desired you. I need you in my life. I need you to be the man that you can be. All that you can be, how you can be, the way you want it. And I'm here to listen to whatever you have to say and encourage you to be that person, that man. Okay? All of those things. But you have to know if you're that type person. You have to know if you're a person that wants to be in a relationship and not. And there's nothing wrong with people who don't want to be in relationships. There's nothing wrong with that. I encourage relationships. I just don't encourage forcing people into things that they don't want to do. And if you're not one of those people that want to be in relationships, I'm not here to force you. I'm just here to give you benefits of working together with a person. But the one thing you cannot have Terry, you crazy. But the one thing you cannot have is when you blame only one sex for the failure of relationships. You got to take a look at the other side. You got to pull out that emotional maturity and say, okay, let me think. Why is this happening? Women don't want to use and abuse and humiliate you. I promise you they don't. They don't. It may look that way, but they don't. They want to be in relationships too. They don't want to be humiliated. They don't want to be used for their body. They don't want to be told that they're sluts. That's what women don't want. Okay? And I see a lot of that here on the internet. And people just confirm their biases and then they get entrenched. So I'm saying to you, let's try to be better when it comes to, let's try to understand each other. Let's try not to fight all the time. Let's encourage people to be neutral. I don't want to blame you. I don't want to blame him. How do we move forward? I don't want to entertain the negativity. I want to entertain the good stuff. The good stuff. I want to move forward. I want us to be good for relationships because we have gotten to the point where it's 30% marital rate, 30% where relationships are working, really. That's a bad place to be. The whole point, yes, I know being vulnerable is scary. You don't want to be used. Nobody wants to be humiliated. Nobody wants to be made a fool of. Nobody wants to be told that they're unimportant. Nobody wants to be told that your money is the only thing I give a damn about. Nobody wants to be told that your body is the only thing I give a damn about, that you only have a hole. Nobody wants that. That's why I'm saying stop it. Because I don't want nobody to tell me that's all you give a damn about is my hole. That's all you are as a whole, HQ. How does that sound? That's all you are is a wallet, Tara. How does that sound? I'm not encouraging that. I don't condone that. That's why I'm done with the D and P conversations. Because that's what it boils down to. You did this because you don't give a damn about men. She don't give a damn about men. She's selfish. She don't care. That's not true. None of that is true. Nobody wants those 4 things that I said. Be made a fool of. Be humiliated. Be called a hoe. Be called a wallet. Not be important to somebody. Every person on this planet wants to be important to somebody. I don't give a damn what you say. Most people want to be important to somebody. We need to start thinking that way. We want to be important to somebody. So how do we find that person that we can be important to? Not wallet-wise, not hole-wise, not this. How do we do that? We cannot do that if you come to the table, if I come to the table and say, it's all your fault, man. It's all your fault, man. It's all your fault, woman. There's nowhere to go. Where's to go when you call me, when you say I ain't shit? Where is it? Where do we go if you tell me I ain't shit? That's why I'm saying you cannot say he ain't shit without looking at yourself and saying, what did I do to encourage that? And how do we move forward? So I'm saying this is the life lesson for women, men, you name it. Because it's a broader picture of relationships and how we move forward. I'm always, HQ is always going to fall on both sides. It's your fault and it's your fault. And it's your opportunity to do better. It's your opportunity to do better. It's always opportunity. Okay? It's always all of our way to do better. It's always encouraged to do better. Right? I get it, Tara. I get it. Nobody wants to be a wallet. Nobody wants to be just a hole. Nobody. That's painful. It's humiliating. It reduces me to a thing, and I'm a human being. I don't want to be a thing. I want to be a person, a human being to you. And people are doing things that put them in a bad light. Stop doing things that put you in a bad light. Be a good person. Do no harm. Do no harm. First and foremost, look inside yourself and say, I'm going to put my best foot forward today. I'm not going to be a hyena today. I'm not going to be a bastard today. I'm not going to be any of those things today. I'm going to change my outlook. Maybe if I smile at people all day, what happens if I smile at all the men every day? Smile. Just smile. Don't say nothing. Just smile. What happens? What if I go around and I say thank you to when somebody does something? Thank you. Thank you. Every time a person opens a door for HQ, I say thank you. Man, woman, or child. Thank you very much. Thank you. Because I want people to have that respect. I want human beings to have that respect. Okay? So this is what I encourage. I encourage us to get out of those D and P conversations and start thinking outside the box. People say, you can't have it both ways, HQ. Yes, I can. I've done it. I've been this way all my life. I don't want to fight. I want us to go forward, to encourage relationships, whether marriage or whatnot. Be encouraged. Be better women. Be better men. Okay? Even if it's just for yourself, be a better person. Okay? Maximize your potential so that you can be a better companion, a better human being for another person that comes along. Okay? And this is one of those are life lessons, those love lessons that HQ is partaking. I'm going to have people on here, no, HQ, you shut up. You got to do. No, I don't. I have always been this way. I've always been the path of let's have solutions, not blame. Solutions. I thank y'all for listening to me, this old lady rant. I thank you all for listening. And I appreciate it. I do. Sometimes it's the best thing is to sit down and say, I want to hear what you got to say. Sometimes those are the best words in the world to hear. I just want to hear what you got to say and encourage another person to express themselves. And I swear to God, that's the most vulnerable position that you can have, is when someone sits down and says to you, I want to hear what you think. I want to hear what you feel. And watch them. Watch that human being just, they want to hear what I got to say. That's the way it is. Because nobody wants to be humiliated, made to feel small, made to feel unimportant, made to feel unloved, unwanted. And now we got to start encouraging people to be happy, asking questions, being emotionally intelligent, seeing the other side. So I thank you guys for listening. I'm goofy that way, but I love all of you.